Hey guys, so I was just on my computer just now doing some research for another little edit and update that I had to make to another video that I'm going to be re-uploading in just a few seconds. But the information I came across, I found it to be very pertinent. A lot of us may already know that, but know what the information is, but also there may be someone who may come across it and realize that this is something they didn't know, or maybe it answered a question for them or something like that. So I wanted to make this precursor to this video so that it can just kind of be more clear exactly what the purpose of it is and why I am showing it. So I was doing research about Africa and Israel and their connection, and how actually Israel is located in Africa and not in the Middle East as man has called it. So without further ado, I'm going to get right into the video. Okay guys, so really quickly, this is what I wanted to show you guys. So first thing I want to look at really quickly is the scripture of the promised land, and show you all the outline of our promised land that the Most High confirmed and told our forefather Abraham, or Abram at the time, in the covenant he made with him. So here's Genesis chapter 15, verses 18 through 21, and it reads, "In that same day the Most High made a covenant with Abram, saying, Unto thy seed I have given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates." Okay, and then there's another scripture that I want to talk about. I want to point out is Exodus 23 and 31. And this is very key also because what we just read shows the left and right, or the east and west borders. And then this verse here in Exodus shows you the top and bottom, or the south and north and south borders. So right here in the KJV, it says, "And I will set thy bounds from the Red Sea, even unto the sea of the Philistines, and from the desert unto the river. For I will deliver the inhabitants of the land into your hand, and thou shalt drive them out before thee." So if you look at that, we all know that the Red Sea, that's in between Egypt and Saudi Arabia, and that kind of flows into the Suez Canal, which is a man-made canal. Okay, so if you look at and then the Gaza Strip, that is right here. Gaza Strip is still in modern day, the so-called state of Israel, and this is where the Philistines lived. Okay, you can see the Gaza Strip here, the city of Gaza, and they also encompass 4 other cities, including Gaza, which is all Ashkelon, Ashdod, Ekron, and Gath. And those references for those scriptures would be Joshua 13 and 3, and then also 1 Samuel 16 and 7. I will leave those in the description box below. But going off of the scriptures that we read Genesis 15, 18 through 21, Exodus 23 and 31. This is the outline of the land that the Most High promised us according to our forefathers. He promised to our forefathers for us, his seed, their seed, which is us descendants and so forth, according to our obedience to his commandments. So somebody may look and say, well, Israel's so small, because this little brown strip here is Israel today. This is the so-called state of Israel. Okay, so if we all were to go back there, we won't be all going back here. When we get back in the land, the Most High sets us back in the land. We're not going to this little tiny slither here. What happened was, when we got put out, our disobedience, our enemies overtook us and took back our land and, conquered us and so forth, put us in slavery. And so now you have all these surrounding areas that, were once of the children of Ham, the Canaanites and so forth, before the Most High told us to go in and conquer and possess it. But now that we're out, it's kind of sort of like going back to the way that it was before. So here is the border of Egypt. Here's the river of Egypt, which is the east border or west border. And then here is the river Euphrates. It runs from, this up here is Turkey, okay? And it runs through Syria, Iraq, and then stops right here down by Kuwait, and it drains into the Persian Gulf over here. So this connects here. Here's like he said, through the desert. Here's the Red Sea, and this will be the Suez Canal. As you can see there, Suez. So it connects here from one border to the other border. Okay, this is the Red Sea. Well, all this is, but it stops here for us, the Red Sea, and it goes up here to the Gaza Strip, which is right here. So all of this land in here is our promised land, okay? So when the Most High puts us back in the land, this is where we're all going to be going. But if you look and see that Israel still sits on the land that's connected to Egypt, which is in Africa. Okay, there's some people that may argue and say Egypt is, not in Africa. That's only because they want to hold on to that theory that they've created that the ancient Egyptians were not African or so-called African melanated people, but they were some type of white or Caucasian, Caucasus, or even Asian type of people, which we know that's incorrect. Anyone with any kind of common sense will not deny that the ancient Egyptians and the Egyptians today still, for the most part, there's some mixing that's gone in, and it's happened, of course, but you can still find true Egyptians that are dark in skin color and so-called African melanated people. This is on the African continent. This is on the African tectonic plate, and this land here is connected to it. This is Israel right here, so this would still be Africa. If you also look at the fact that this is man-made Suez Canal, if that you take that away, you will see that this will join perfectly. Also, you can see the rest of these lands here, these countries, these two countries here, Saudi Arabia and Egypt, they will join perfectly together if the Red Sea wasn't here. I also believe that back in the day, as many, many years ago, if you look at all the continents, not just this so-called Middle East and Africa, or so-called Africa, all the countries, they join together. If you look at them, they can all kind of sort of join together, especially if you look at South America, and Africa, the other side of Africa, you can see that they all fit together perfectly like a piece of a pie or a puzzle. So at one point, I do believe they were all connected at one point, but over time with the plates shifting and so forth, they began to pull apart, and which is where you have all these different separations and the water begin to come in and fill up those areas. So anyway, I say all that to say that this is our actual promised land, the size. We will not be returning to this little slither here when we are put back in the land when the Messiah returns. Okay, and he gathers us all and puts us in here once he's purged out the rebels from among us, and brought us to the wilderness. And also, you can still see that Israel is not the so-called Middle East. That is a man-made term. It is actually in Africa. But anyway, I don't want to hold this any much longer, but I did want to go in detail just a little bit to show you all what I was talking about, and hopefully this answers some questions for some who didn't know, may not have known this. And I will also leave the scriptures, I will also leave the scriptures that I read in the description box below. All right, shalom.